here. I'm very blue. So blue, so blue. Welcome everybody to another Mystery Witch School live. Just playing with the light a little bit here. Okay, welcome. How is everybody? Okay. Today we're talking about candle magic, which is probably the most popular type of magic apparently, and also the one that people query more on Google, because I wanted to Google to see what were the main types of, genres of magic that people were interested in, and candle magic came up for that. Candle magic came up for people's most common questions asked about witchcraft and Wicca. Candle magic just came up a lot for a lot of things, so I assumed that people were really into candle magic. Candle magic was the first type of magic I ever... Oh, sorry, can't hear me. That's better. Is that better for the sound now? Welcome everybody to Mystery Witch School and YouTube Live here. We're talking about candle magic today, and I was just saying, without the microphone being close enough for you to probably hear, that candle magic was my first entry into magic. It's the first magic I ever did. When I Googled what is the most popular type of magic, or what sort of magic are people asking about and wanting to know about, candle magic came up number one. When I have asked Google what people want to know most about Wicca and witchcraft, what questions people are asking, candle magic comes up. So it's a very, very popular form of magic, and understandably so. There's beauty to candle magic. There's atmosphere to candle magic. It's actually a very powerful way of working with magic because of the psychological effect it has on us and our subconscious mind. It can really draw us into focusing on what it is that we're doing magically, and the color correspondences are wonderful for also bringing us into that emotional space. You can do candle magic with petition magic. You can do candle magic with sigil magic. You can do candle magic using herbs. You can use crystals, tarot and candle magic. You can blend candle magic with pretty much most other genres of magic. So it's a very versatile type of magic, and I really do enjoy it. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do, though, for those of you who are new to Witch School, welcome to Mystery Witch School. Welcome to the channel. Here I do videos on Wicca, witchcraft, magic, shadow work, as well as tarot. And I also have, I'll tell you now that I have a free spellcaster checklist. It's a PDF. It's a checklist. It doesn't tell you how to do spells and magic. It's already assuming you know what you're doing. It's there really to help you just get clear about your intent and how to plan your magic and what to think about when it comes to doing magic. I am going to extend it later on and include more in it. So, but for now, it is a checklist. So there's a link in the description field below this video for how you can download that checklist. And I also have a whole lot of courses on Wicca and witchcraft and shadow work and tarot, and I'll talk about some of those at the end of this live. If you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice, but you're confused by all the practices out there, I also have a free video called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice, and that is also in the description field below this video, and I will pop it in the chat as well. So there are different ways that you can get on my mailing list if you tick the boxes to say you want to hear from me and have regular contact with me via email as well. Okay. Okay, welcome, Sandy. If you want to chat, certainly comment about your own experiences with candle magic in the chat, also in the comments field. If you're watching the replay, you can join in on the conversation in the comments field too. There is super chat there if you want to support the channel, and also super thanks as well if you're watching the replay. Okay, briefly, my name is Sandra. I've been practicing the craft for, oh look, it's probably getting on to 40 years now. Maybe it's just over 30. I haven't done the maths lately. But anyway, I've been doing it since the 90s, early 1990s, and also journeyed into other traditions as well. I really do love natural magic, folk magic, sympathetic magic, and that's really where I focus now. I don't, even though I've done a little bit of other types of magic, I really like to focus more on the type of magic that's more within the witchcraft sort of space rather than ceremonial magical space. I have been in covens. I've had a lot of people as teachers over the years. I work as a solitary now, though, and I've come here basically being brought here to teach. It wasn't something that I actually intended on doing. It's something I kind of fell into. So that's how the Mystery Witch School has sort of come about. It's come about because that seems to be where uh, the forces that be have placed me, or my higher self has placed me. Hello, Moira. How are you? Hi, Chase. First time. Finally made it to live stream. Awesome. Welcome to the live stream. Okay, so Candle Magic. We'll get on into Candle Magic. Let me know in the comments field and in the chat if Candle Magic is something you love to do and would love to learn more about. And what is it about Candle Magic that you like? What draws you to this particular genre of magic? And then we'll get on to, well, the history of Candle Magic is really the history of candles. Candle magic's been used for a very, very long time. It's used in many, many, many cultures in magical practices simply because it's a very wonderful way of working with intention and working with magic. So it's got a very long history, and I can see it continuing into the future as long as we have candles. When it comes to candle magic, in modern day, we work a lot with various aspects. So we work with the colors of candles, we work with carving symbols into the wax of the candles. We will anoint our candles with oils and also work with the timings. So we might work with the timings of the moon, so the lunar cycles. The lunar cycles are worked with a lot in a witchcraft framework. It's very much working with the lunar cycles. So it's astrological magic, working with the planetary influences can also be a big part of our magic as well. But the moon particularly is something that we work very closely with. And we also use meditation, visualization, or if you're not a visualizer, using your other senses to work with what it is that you're intending with your magic. I don't actually like to use necessarily the word intending. It's more what it is, what your desire is, what the outcome is, what is your aim with regards to the magical operation. That's what I mean. And also working with the elemental correspondences as well, working with affirmations and chants, so working with petition magic, working with traditional spells, and also different types of candles and having candle shapes, so being able to shape it into the candle. So you can find candles that are in the shape of animals, in the shape of people. That can really, really help with the magic as well. And then there's certain ways that we extinguish the candles and using candle holders or not using candle holders. So there's some of the things that I wanted to talk about today. So the first thing I want to talk about is color, I think, because these days you can get candles in many, many different colors. And if you're making your own candles, you can make them also in various different colors using different sorts of coloring material. So when it comes to color, we use the colors that have a correspondence to the theme around what it is we're casting our magic for. Colors have an emotional effect on us, so they affect our subconscious mind. So with different colors have a vibration as well. So they do actually have a physical vibration that can vibrate with the vibration of planetary influences, elemental influences, etc. So if you're wanting to get into color, there's a whole other tangent you can go with. But basically, for basic candle magic, the color is about the psychological connections we have with color, and also with the connections to the planets and the vibration that creates. So we're vibrating in a certain energy when we're connecting with color. So, for example, green is often associated with the earth. We look out, we see the beautiful green on the trees, the green grass. We associate green a lot with the lushness of nature. So it's connected to that sense of abundance, prosperity, health, all of these things that are that fresh green energy. So when we're working with green candles, we're most likely working with money magic or some sort of magic that's about growing and fertility and abundance and prosperity, and also healing as well. Working with colors that are quite vibrant, like your oranges and even your yellow colors, for example, can be used for success magic and creativity. Yellow has a connection to the element of air. It's got a very clear, sort of bright feeling to it, and it's often used in spells around communication, spells around clarity, mental clarity, and it's of course associated with Gemini as well. So we've got that color there, that when we're lighting a candle and feeling into an intention that's around, say, communication or around clarity or anything like that, yellow can really help enhance that. It can enhance the feeling of already having that clarity. It can enhance the feeling of already having that success with, say, communication or with an exam or something like that. Orange, I mentioned, is a very vibrant color of joy and success and attraction. So if you're wanting to bring more things to you and attract something, m- orange candles are often used, particularly in multiple candle spells, to bring in that attraction, to bring in that vibrant energy. Because when you look at the color orange, you has that effect. It's very stimulating color to have in your life. So it's very vibrant, very stimulating. White we often use for clarity as well, healing work, spirituality, anything that's to do with cleansing and purifying. You can use white for. White is often used in replace any of the other colors. Traditionally, when there were no colors in candles, because colors are pretty recent, really, we used white candles for everything. So whether it was for money, whether it was for love, you'd be using a white candle because that was the color, or a beeswax candle. So white's a very common color. It's an easy color to obtain. And if white candles are the only thing you've got, then use your white candle, even if it's for love, for prosperity, for success. You can use a white candle. And here is a really good sized white candle here, and I'll talk about candle sizes and shapes later. But there's your white candle, as opposed to, working with a coloured candle. I don't know where my green candle went. It's gone walkabout. Okay. Just going to line my candles up here. Other colours that are commonly used in magic are blue, often for healing, for peace, for tranquility. Blue's good for communication too, particularly more of a peaceful communication. We've got the colours like brown. Brown's a very earthy colour, so it can often be connected to spells relating to grounding, to stability, the home. So if you're doing a spell to look for a home, brown's a good colour. I always use brown for home finding spells, connecting to the earth and really grounding yourself. So it's a good meditation colour to work with. Black is a wonderful colour also for cleansing and healing too. Probably because black and white are sort of the extremes. They have different ways of working with energy, but they still can be very clearing and very healing. It's just that they work slightly differently because they're on two different polarities of color, or lack of color really, for both of them. White will reflect every color and black absorbs every color. So when you think of white, think of reflection, what you're trying to reflect and put out there, and with black, what is it you're trying to absorb and bring in. Black's used a lot for banishing things because it can absorb and take in that negative energy, and then you can go and bury that energy somewhere in the earth to absorb it. So it's like it's taking it in and taking all of that energy out from around itself into the candle. So you can use black candles for doing a lot of banishing work or any hex banishing, breaking work. Black candles are often used, and then white candles then can be used to reflect the energy you want around you afterwards. Purple is also used. Purple is kind of more to do with psychism and getting more up into the crown sort of chakra area, and working with spirituality and working with that more higher level energy. So when it comes to your colors, think primary colors and maybe some secondary colors. You don't necessarily need to get into all of the tertiary colors. There's so many different colored candles out there now. And think about how colors are made up. They're made up of primary colors. So they're made up of yellow, blue, and red. And so if you've got a green candle, for example, it's a combination of blue and yellow. So you've got yellow energy in there too, and blue energy in there at the same time, which creates this beautiful green color, depending on how much yellow is in there or how much blue is in there. So think about what colors are made up of and what it takes to make up a secondary color or a tertiary color. So a secondary color is a color that's got two colors in it, like green, for example. A tertiary color is one that has about three, like brown, for example. Okay, so that's colors with candles. But if you don't have any of the colored candles, just go for white candles because that was the original color. Okay, let's go and have a look at, hi Juniper, hello, blessed be. Maura says, I like making natural rolled beeswax candles. Yes, beeswax are great too. And again, you don't have to color them either. Just use the kind of what color? Kind of a creamy sort of color beeswax, a dark sort of creamy color. They still work. You don't have to have the color. The color's just great as an aid and a help. If you need a black candle to banish, would you then not burn it all the way down so that you have something to bury? Yes. We always burn the candles down. I know that in some magic I have seen, and this is something that I've seen in Raymond Buckland's books, I think it was the second one, where he said that you didn't have to burn them down necessarily. You could reuse them. You just cleanse them and neutralize them and then reuse them. Most people burn them down so that the candle, when you do a candle magic spell, you're putting energy into the candle. So the energy is the intent that you're putting into the candle, right? The candle, then the flame then burns that intention and it goes out into the universe. That's kind of the symbolism behind it, is that your intention's contained in your candle. Depends, that candle or this little candle here or one of these or longer taper candles or one of these candles. And as they're burning, the intention's being spread out across the lands, okay, across into the universe. And so you want it to burn down because you want it to take its course so that all the energy is then distributed out. So that's the philosophy behind burning the candles down. And that's also the reason why we have different types of candles now, because of the time it takes to burn a candle down. You can do spells using the same candle or candles over a period of days or even weeks by snuffing out the candle and then relighting it again the next day with, again, focusing on your aim with the spell. So there's spells that will take more than one day to complete, but you're always burning that candle down on the last day of the spell, depending on how many days or weeks the spell is meant to go for. And then if there is any wax left over, sometimes there's not a lot left over. Sometimes there is, again, it depends on the type of candle. Then you would then dispose of that. Traditionally, it would be burying it or putting it into a living body of water, doing it that way. A lot of people don't like doing that now because candles aren't necessarily made from traditional beeswax anymore. So they're not necessarily as environmentally friendly. So that's something to think about. Using beeswax candles and candles that are soy candles or anything that's actually made from natural earth-friendly materials is a good way to work if you can do that. Other ways of disposing of any candle remains, if it's not possible to bury them or to put them in water, is to cast them into the rubbish bin, essentially. And a lot of modern magical practitioners, probably more so in other types of magic, whereas with witchcraft, we tend to still like to stick to the more earth-based things, but there are definitely magicians out there that put their candles in the rubbish bin and just see that as a way of disposing of the remains of the candle. Depends on the candle spell. You may want to keep the remains of the candle as well, and because the energy's in that, so you might want to keep that with you or give it to somebody if you're doing a spell for somebody. Okay. From Ireland. Wow, you must be up late. I burn mine all the way down regardless. You still have the puddle of wax to bury if need be. Sometimes you shouldn't be buried and can sprout things back when put in the earth. Yeah, so it's about letting the earth take the energy. So when you're burying your spell remains, whatever spell remains it is, whether it's candles or paper or whatever, you're wanting the earth to either distribute it, if it is something you want distributed, or the earth to neutralize it. So have that as your intent when you're burying it, what you'd like the earth to be doing with it. Okay, it's 222 in Finland. Awesome, great angel number there. So that's working with color. The other things I wanted to talk about is carving on candles. Because candles are nice and soft and waxy, you can carve symbols on your candle. So if you want to carve your name, if you're doing a spell for yourself, if you want to carve a symbol of what it is that you're doing magic for, like dollar signs, if it's a prosperity spell, hearts, if it's a love spell, names, addresses, anything that you can carve basically that links you more to the aim that you have for your spell. If you do sigil magic, you can carve sigils on your candles. So that's where you can blend sigil magic and candle magic together. It really depends how much can fit on your candle and what you want to put on your candle when it comes to symbols. You can use astrological symbols. Any symbol that is in the world, you can use on your candle. If you're going for, say, a job and you want to work for a particular business and they have a logo that's really easy to draw on your candle, you can put that on your candle, for example. And I like to use a pin to draw the symbols. You could use a pin. It's a pretty common thing to use. Some people might use the tip of, say, their bowline, which is their white handled knife that's used often for cutting herbs. Other people might even use an athame, although that's probably a little bit too thick when it comes to how it would cut the candle. So I like to use a pin or anything that's sharp that you can carve images and things into a candle, for example. Okay, is it Vienna? So when it comes to symbols, really, your imagination and what it is that you're wanting will determine what that is. If you're into runes, you can carve runes into your candle. If you're into bind runes, you can carve your bind runes into the candle. It's another way of connecting to your candle. It's another way of focusing your intent. Every spell action you do, finding your candles, choosing your colored candles, putting symbols, inscribing the symbols on your candle, writing your petition, coming up with the spell, all of that is focusing you on your intent. And the more you focus on your intent, the more it's getting embedded into the subconscious mind that it's happening, that you're focused on that. And that brings you a step closer to the result every time you do something in your spell work. So even just gathering the materials together is the beginning of the spell. You have the idea for the spell, you start gathering your materials, you start inscribing the candle, you choosing your colors, you're writing your spell, rolling the candle in herbs if you're rolling it in herbs, dressing the candle. It's all about focusing your intent. And the more action you put into your spell ritual, the closer you're getting to the intent becoming more real to you. And that's the psychology behind spell work. It's it becoming more real to you and more real to the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind needs to believe that what you're doing the spell for has already happened and that you're already experiencing the emotional result of it. It needs to know that so that it will draw you towards what it is that you're wanting, and you can make the decisions you need to make. You can have the creativity you need to have and see the opportunities that are there. So you really need to have your subconscious mind on board, and Candle Magick is a great way of bringing it on board. You can anoint your candle with oils, and the tradition again is using oil to anoint your candle anyway. This is where you can look at magical correspondences of aromatherapy, but if you're not so much into necessarily wanting specific oils for specific spells, because then that's another tangent, you can use your vegetable oils to anoint your candle with your intent. So the idea of anointing your candle, again, is it gives you something to focus your intent on. You're focusing on bringing something to you or pulling or letting something go. So when you're anointing your candle at this little green chime candle here, if you're wanting to let something go, you would anoint it from the base of the candle up through to the top and tip of the candle, because you're letting it go, right? You're wanting to release it. You don't want it anymore, banish it. If you're wanting to bring something to you, like you want to bring wealth or bring love or something that you're wanting to bring to you, again, you're mimicking in sympathetic magic what it is that you want as your result. So if you want to bring something to you, then you take the tip of the candle and anoint it with the oil down all the way to the base of the candle. If you're dealing with a bigger candle, there's other options. You can either draw, if you're bringing something to you, take it to the middle of the candle and then take it from the end to the middle. So you're bringing it to you from both sides, from the earth and from above. And if you're banishing and you want to do that method, you can banish through to the earth and banish out through the tip. So you'd start in the middle if you were doing that procedure. It's probably a little bit more complex, that method of anointing a candle. It's the method I was introduced to for many years. I've used that method. So it tends to be my go-to method, is to actually do the middle out or out into the middle. But I see a lot of people these days are actually just simplifying it and either going straight up the candle or straight down the candle. And that, again, you're doing that with your intention. You're wanting to bring something to you, and as you're anointing your candle, you're focusing on what it feels like to have that. What does it feel like to have it? What are you feeling emotionally? You're feeling relief, you're feeling joy, you're feeling good, you're feeling something. And what is it that you're feeling? And feel it as you're dressing your candle and anointing it with the oils. When your candle is anointed with oils, it makes it a little bit more, uh, it'll help other things stick to it more too. So if you're wanting to use herbs and you're wanting to roll your candle with the herbs will stick to it more if you've got the oil there on the candle as well. And if you are rolling your candle in the different herbs, if you're combining herb magic with your candle, you want to also use that idea of rolling the candle towards you to bring something in that you want to be brought into you, or to roll the candle away in the herbs if you're wanting to banish something or let something go. Okay. Okay, and all. To inscribe. Cell phone reset keys. Great engravers. Oh, yeah, okay. If you want something less sharp and discreet. I've never thought of that. That's a great idea. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Purple Rapper Fairy. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so that was it. That was putting the energy of the oils and even herbs into your candle if you're wanting to use herbs as well. You don't have to at all. The other thing we like to consider with candle magic is timing. And this comes back to the moon thing mostly for witchcraft. If you're wanting to bring something to you, if you're wanting to grow something, then you would be working with the waxing phase of the moon. There's different energies that the moon is going through. So when it starts as a new moon, it doesn't have a lot of energy. It's not reflecting a lot of the sunlight. It's not getting a lot of the sunlight. So it's very much in its infancy in that sense. So you're starting, if you're wanting to start something very new, then you would start a few days after the new moon and do your spell after the new moon. If you're wanting something to come in a bit quicker and a little bit more powerful, then you would work closer to the full moon and even on the full moon. I know in astrology, the full moon is seen as a release and as a letting go. When it comes to magic, because the moon is so full and it's reflecting the sun, there's a lot of energy there. We often will use it for very powerful magic, and it is incredibly powerful to do a spell somewhere in nature where nature's being very powerful, where there's a lot of wind perhaps, where there's a lot of rushing water, and doing your spell there to really get into that full power of the full moon. And you'll feel that when you do the spell. So it really depends on whether you are looking at just starting something and you're allowing it time to grow, or whether you just need something really fast and powerful and boom, in which case you'd go full moon or very close to the full moon. They're the main things that we work with. If you're wanting to banish something or let something go, we actually wait until after the full moon to do that in magic. And it's usually a few days after the full moon too. So you want to wait a few days and while the moon is waning, so the energy is decreasing, decreasing, decreasing. And really powerful banishings are usually done much closer to the dark moon or new moon phase, so that the moon again is very weak and very dark, and so we've got more of that absorption energy going on for removing things. So that's why we work mostly with the moon. You can also work with the planets. Each color is associated with planets. You can do planetary magic with candle magic and work with the colors, work with the planets, work with your own sun sign or your rising sign or moon sign in your spells by finding out what color is associated with your sun sign or your moon sign or your natal, your ascendant, and working that way with candle magic. That's when you start to use multiple candles, which is kind of more of an advanced aspect of candle magic. You can use a single candle in candle magic, and you can use lots of candles in candle magic. It's a very versatile way of doing magic. Okay. While we were waiting for it to start, I went over and watched one of the shadow work videos, and it was excellent. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Prepper. Yes, I do a lot of shadow work. Shadow work's really important for magic. It's really important for our happiness, essentially, where we're getting to know ourselves. It's know thyself, shadow work. So that's really your timing, the phase of the moons, the days of the week. Different days of the week are associated with different planets. Different hours in the day are associated with different planets. So you could really get it down to a fine art of doing your spell on a Thursday in the hour of Venus or something if you're working on prosperity and in a particular way. But this is, of course, getting more into advanced magic, and it's sort of moving away a little bit from the more sympathetic magic because you're adding that more planetary high magic aspect to it. You don't have to go that specific with magic. You could just go with the day of the week. So if you're doing prosperity magic, you might want to do it on a Thursday, which is Jupiter and expansion, if you're wanting to expand. Venus is a great planet to work with for prosperity, and Venus is associated with Fridays. So you could do prosperity magic on a Friday as well if you're wanting that Venusian aspect. Sunday's a good time for prosperity magic because you've got the sun. It really depends on what you're wanting to do if you really want to go with the planets as well and the days of the week. So that's another thing you can do is align your magic with planetary or astrological events too. At the moment, we've got a whole stellium of planets sitting in Aquarius. So if you're wanting to, if you knew what house that's in your natal chart and you're wanting to really enhance the benefits of that, then you could do magic, sometime very, very in the next, week or two. The next week probably would be best because of that stellium there. So it really just depends on how much you want to get into the other aspects of magical knowledge as to how complicated you make your candle magic. But you don't have to go that complex. Just work with the phases of the moon. Waxing for bringing things in and growing things, full for a lot of power, and waning for letting go and releasing. Okay. The other thing that is important for any magic is the ability to be able to focus your intention, to concentrate, to have some level of concentration ability so that you can imagine the result as if it's already happened. If you're doing magic for yourself, you're imagining yourself experiencing the wish fulfilled and what that feels like. Okay. Regardless of what's going on in 3D so-called reality around you, in the spell, you want to be in the zone of doing what it is that you're doing or having what it is that you have, and you're in it and you're enjoying it and whatever it is that you're doing. If you're doing magic on behalf of somebody else, you can imagine them enjoying what it is that you're doing the spell for, and also your reaction to seeing them reacting the way that they are, because you still need to bring your emotion into it if you're doing spell work for someone else. So you can see them if you're doing a healing spell, for example, see them doing the activities that they couldn't do, and whatever you can relate to healing, and seeing them being healthy and doing what it is that they love doing now that they're healthy and healed, and how you feel about that, watching them and tune into that. The visualization aspect or the imagination aspect is there to bring us into the emotional experience of it already happening. So that's why we use visualization, where we're trying to steer the emotions to where we want them, because it's the emotion that's the energy in motion. And because the subconscious mind works mostly on emotion, we need to communicate with it that way. So we're using our imagination to create the emotional feeling that we already have what it is. And so the subconscious mind, not knowing the difference between what's real and what's imagined, is going to believe in that moment that you're feeling it, that it's real. And you want it to believe that because you want it to help you create that in 3D reality. The subconscious works almost like it's working on the astral level, and you're creating an astral reality or an astral event, and you're wanting to bring that astral event that you're creating, the blueprint for what it is you're wanting, down into 3D reality. So you're creating it in the fourth dimensional world, and you're wanting to bring that into the third dimensional world. So think of your imagination as creating on the astral. And when you're doing your magic and you're visualizing or feeling into the wish fulfilled, if you're not a visualizer, you've still got feelings. So feel into what it is. If you want to hear, use your auditory sense, use your tactile sense. Find which senses work for you. Thoughts are very powerful. So if visualizing isn't a strong point for you, then work with the other senses that are strong for you and put yourself in the scene of what would you be hearing? What would you be smelling? What would it feel like, in your body, already having that result? And that's creating it on the astral. It's creating it in the fourth dimension. And then you want to bring it into the third dimension. And that's what the magic is there to do. Okay. So your ability to visualize is something to develop, and you can develop that even if you're not that great at it. Through practice, you can get better at it. And that's something I teach in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. So that is the course that I teach on Wicca and Witchcraft. We work with energy right from the get-go, work with visualization, work with concentration, work with meditation so that you can get those skills that are really, really necessary and helpful for your magic right from the get-go. The other thing is that's good about meditation is that you can use it for so many other things apart from just magic. But the meditation can help bring you into an alpha wave state. It can help bring you into more of a trance state. And when you're in an alpha wave state, you're communicating more successfully with your subconscious mind. And that's what we're wanting. We're wanting that subconscious mind to be in on the spell. So when you're in a calm, relaxed state and you're starting to generate alpha waves, then you're in connection with your subconscious mind. Whereas in a beta wave state, which is the workaday world state, we can't really connect so well with the subconscious mind. So meditation can help bring you down into that alpha wave state and slows everything down so that you can focus and connect more with the subconscious. So that's why meditation is so important. Elemental correspondences are used often in candle magic as well, working with the energies of earth, air, fire, and water. They can enhance the ritual energy. And the colors, again, correspond to those. So you've got the red candles, for example, corresponding to fire. Orange candles can also correspond to fire. Air is often yellow, sometimes blue is also associated with the element of air. Green with the element of earth, black with the element of earth, brown with the element of earth. Water, you've got various different shades of blues, turquoise associated with water. And you can also use the elements with your candle magic. Obviously, candle magic is a fire element predominantly because you're lighting it and there's a flame. So it is a fire style of magic, very much so. But if you're doing say there's different curse removal spells where you put the candle in water up to a certain level and you allow the candle to burn down until it gets to the water and the water basically snuffs the candle out. And that is when the curse has been broken. And the water is what's cleansing that. It's what's breaking, the energy of the curse and taking it away. So you can use the element of water in that way in a candle magic spell. When it comes to working with the earth, you could have your candle in the earth. You can have it in sand. You could have it actually literally in the ground if you've got like a pit or something that it's not going to catch fire and set off a grass fire or anything like that. It's just the bare earth. And work with the element of earth to snuff the candle out when the candle gets to a certain level. You can work with the elements in that way. Air already is a part of it because you need oxygen for the flame. So air and fire are already involved in candle magic. So you can work with the elements as well. Earth magic, you would be working still with prosperity magic, homes, anything that's to do with the solidity of the earth, grounding magic, air, communication, mental clarity, cyber, money, technology. Fire, again, your passions, your creativity, spirituality. Water, your creativity again, but in a slightly different nuance of creativity. Healing for with water. Energy for peace, for love, working with the water element. And then you've got your chants. And your chants could just be simple affirmations. You could just have an affirmation. An affirmation is a sentence, or probably a number of sentences, but usually it's one sentence that is in the present tense. And it's stating what it is that you're wanting to feel and wanting to have. There's affirmations all over the place. If you are wanting a particular thing, so you are wanting to do an affirmation for a job, you would say, I am working at blah, 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 or I am doing this job, whatever it is, blah, 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 at blah, 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 blah. And that would be your affirmation. You're just stating what it is that you want. If you're doing a quick money spell, say you need $1,000 and you want to do a quick money spell for $1,000, I have $1,000. I have $1,000. I have an unexpected $1,000. And then you can imagine you using that $1,000 for whatever it is that you're wanting to use it for. Or if it's just to have a bill paid, okay, you've got some bills and you want them paid, actually do the spell for the bills to be paid. I have paid such and such a bill. And you could bring that bill into like a paper version of the bill, or print out a version of it and use that in your spell work as well with a paid written over it, and have that under your candle, for example. Really simple statements. You can use them as a chant, state them over and over and over again as many times as you want. There is really no limit on how many times you could say an affirmation. Stating it over and over and over again can help bring it more into reality for you, and can help bring you more into a trance state because of the rhythm of the chant. And again, it helps connect you to your subconscious mind and feeling into the wish fulfilled. Spells, you can either find a spell online or create one yourself. It could be 4 lines, it could be a haiku, it could be 10 stanzas of a 5-lined poem. It really is up to you how you want your spell to be, what works best for you, what gets you believing that you already have what it is that you have, what gets you feeling like you have control over your life, what gets you feeling into the energy of the magic. That might just be, you know, a single sentence chanted over and over again, or it might be a spell that has, as I said, 10 stanzas of, 5 lines of a poem or something that you've written, particularly if you're someone who loves writing. You write your spells and have fun with writing them. As you're writing your spells, you're getting yourself into the moment, you're getting yourself into your intent, you're focusing on your aim, and you're speaking to your subconscious mind because you're using your creativity. So if writing is your thing, use it. Use it. You can use drawings in Candle Magick. When you are using something else like a link, so maybe it's a business card if you're linking it to a business, or if it is something of yourself, if you're working with yourself, you might want to link it to like your hair or something like that. You would put all of that under the candle. If you've got a candle holder, you would put it under the candle as the candle burns down. Uh, Using a candle holder that way is the safest way to do it, because if you're dealing with paper and you're dealing with things that can burn and you haven't got a really safe space to have things catch on fire and burn, it's best to use a candle holder. A lot of traditional spells don't use a holder. They'll just stick the candle on a surface, and then the candle will burn down over the petition or over whatever it is. It really is up to you how safe your space is for, like if you've got a container, if you use a cauldron for spell casting, that would be probably reasonably safe if you've just got a little bits of pieces of things that could catch on fire, but the cauldron's going to be able to contain the fire. You've got to be really careful with Candle Magic because it is a fire hazard, unfortunately. And there's lots of stories. I think a lot of witches have got stories about almost being burned and going up in smoke because of mishaps that happen with Candle Magic. I've burned holes in the lino and stuff with Candle Magic, so I'm guilty of that too. And I just wanted to also say that the candles behind me are totally battery oriented, and that's why they are in my bookshelves. I would never put real candles in a bookshelf because that's a great way to burn a hole in your bookshelf and also catch your whole house on fire. Because when you're dealing with candles, remember that their heat is going up and it goes up a fair way. And I've had this happen to me when I was back in my novice days. I had a candle and it was burning under a shelf. It probably only had about 15 centimeters between it and the shelf. And one day I happened to look under the shelf and I noticed that there were burn marks. So I realized that that was a really bad idea. So make sure that your candles, when they're burning, even if they're just burning for sheer pleasure of having candles, that there's nothing over the top of them, because the heat rises a fair way up. So you need to have that clear. So I just wanted to mention that safety aspect. And when you're burning, you're allowing your candles to burn down too. Make sure that they're burning down in a safe space. I have sometimes taken my candles into the bathroom and put them in the shower, or put them in the bathtub, or put them in the sink, just simply because it's safer there. Again, if you've got a decent sized cauldron, you can use the cauldron to contain the candles. One of the reasons why a lot of people now are going for these chime candles is because they only take 2 hours to burn down. And so you can be with the candle as it's burning all of the way down. They don't take very long. They're quite easy to contain as well than, say, the bigger candles. They don't use as much wax and are putting as much wax everywhere as well. And I wanted to talk about the shapes and sizes. You can get many different shapes and sizes of candles, and some people believe that the bigger the candle, the more energy is there for the spell. You're putting your energy and intent into the candle. It's not the candle itself. The candle is just a neutral container, and you're putting the energy into the candle. So if you're putting your energy into a chimed candle that's going to burn down in 2 hours, you're still putting that energy of your intent into the candle. And that idea is that the intent's contained in the candle, and when you light the candle, and the wax is melting, the flame is sending the intention out into the world, out into the universe. So it's still sending that intent out into the universe, even if it's a chime candle or even if it's a pillar candle like this one here. It's still going to be sending that energy out into the universe. You could put more energy into a bigger candle, but the bigger candle is going to take a lot longer to burn down. Pillar candles are often used for long-term spells, so spells that take days or weeks to complete. So that's where you'd use a pillar candle. A dinner candle is the only candles I ever had access to when I first started. So I use these, and these take a while to burn down. They take about 8 hours to burn down. These candles are great. They're white. This white candle here is a thicker, like a fatter candle. And I really like the size of this candle because it's short, so it doesn't take as long to burn down. I think it's about 4 hours. But it's quite sturdy, so you really feel like it's a little bit more chunky and you're putting a bit more energy out there into the universe. The thing I would recommend is that you try different sorts of candles and see for yourself how you feel working with them and what results you get from them, and find out for yourself. Some people love using the chime candles. They work really well for them. So, why not use them? They're probably the most economical candles to work with because you can buy them in packs of 20 or 40 of all the one color. So you can have a lot of access to your candles much more economically than buying, say, dinner candles or pillar candles or anything like that. But if you are on a budget, just buy white candles from the supermarket and use those. You don't need the colour there. You can get, I don't have any shaped candles, but you've probably seen candles, particularly in witchy shops. You might find candles of a couple embraced, so that would be great for love magic, of course. You might find also candles of different animals and various different things that are representing what the magic is about. So that you can use wax to mold a candle. And if you're somebody who is very crafty and you love working with wax, you can mold your own shapes with your wax and do candle magic with a shape that you'd be molding yourself, and go from there. You really, your creativity is your limit when it comes to candles. You can get dual colored candles as well. That's another thing that I'm seeing more of, are dual colored candles. They can symbolize duality and also the balance of forces as well. So it really just depends on how you're working with color. Are you working with trying to balance opposing energies? What is it that you're doing if you're using dual colored candles or making dual colored candles? And when it comes to extinguishing your candles, I was always told to snuff them out either using a snuffer or using your fingertips. Fingertips is a little bit more painful because you get the hot wax on them. It can burn a little bit, or just use a candle snuffer. The tradition is not to blow them out, because when you're blowing them out, you're using the element of air. Some people say you're offending the air elementals by blowing the candle out, or that you're, blowing the spell away. And if you are doing multiple day spell with one candle, you are going to have to extinguish it, right? So I would say stick to tradition and snuff it out using your fingers. If you're okay with that, you're using a candle snuffer, snuff it out, and then the next day relight it and continue the spell if you're doing multiple day spells with your candle. There's also a lot of talk about the different ways that a candle's burning down and the different symbolism in the way that a candle burns down. Some people will say if it burns down, like if it doesn't burn down evenly, there's all these different meanings depending on how it's burned down. The thing to really note with candle magic is that candles are very, they're made out of, the quality of the candle is going to determine how it burns down and how well it burns down. So you've got the quality of the candle there to consider. You've also got to consider where you're burning the candle as well, if there's any drafts. And sometimes you might not feel a draft, but there could be a draft. When you're moving around a candle, you're going to be blowing air, you're going to be moving the air around the candle, and that's going to affect the flame and how the candle burns down. When you speak, you're going to be affecting the air around the candle, so it affects how the candle is going to burn down. So if there's any movement, a lot of movement near the candle and it's burning down, it may affect how the candle burns down. So a lot of these things about which way the candle burns down and how it can be actually be determined by simply the environment the candle's in. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the spell is doing this or it's doing that. You really have to notice that. I don't really focus so much on how the candle burns down or use that as a way of divination. But if you're into candle divination and wax divination, and that's something that's of interest to you, then certainly go and have a look at the various different opinions about how a candle's burning down and why from a divination point of view. Because sometimes they say that if it's burnt down on one side, the spell's not going to work out in the way that it should work out, or it's going to work out in a different way to the way that you intend it to work out. So there's all these different ways of determining how the spell's going to work out by how the candle burns down. Okay. Now, candles in glasses. Yes, the candles in glasses. I'm not a big fan of candles in glasses because if they're not made well, the glass can crack and shatter. so it can be a hazard. I know a lot of people like to use the glass candles. You get the votive candles in glasses. Votive candles, of course, you can use for Candle Magic. You can use any candle for Candle Magic. I just like to use these sort of more upright candles because I find that they are, I guess, you can do a lot more with them when it comes to inscribing them. And I'm just used to using these candles. Votive candles, yes, you can use them if they're in a glass, and often they come in a glass. Just be careful with that. It's hard to inscribe things in a candle that comes in a glass as well. So you could try it, but the glass can crack from the heat, and they can burn again if they're burning unevenly because of what's going on in the environment. It can be they can a lot of the time with the candles that come in a glass, or even the not so much the pillar candles, but those really thick pillar candles, they can end up snuffing themselves out because the wax can't get away. And so the wax ends up drowning the wick. And that's just a physiological thing. That's just it's just what happens. So you've got to be mindful of the wax too. If you're using thick candles or even the votive candles, they can drown themselves in the process. And you can end up with the candle not burning all the way down because it's been drowned in the wax. So always be aware of that with your candles as well. One tip, if you do want to have your candles last longer, so this is probably not for spell work, but definitely if you're using candles for beautifying your home or your ritual space, you're using them as a working candle, you can put your candles in the freezer and it will actually make them last longer. So particularly the little tea light candles. Often you have the tea light candles in an oil burner, or you've got them somewhere where they're burning and you'd like to have them last a bit longer, you can put them in the freezer and they'll last a bit longer. Use my glass 7 days for deity and ancestor altars. Yeah. And if you're using the bigger candles for non-spell work and you're finding that the candle is starting to get a bit drowned from the wax, there's nothing wrong with pouring the wax out that's there so that the wick has got more room to burn as well. Some people will put a little hole sometimes in the side of the candle so the wax can drain out that way so that the candle's not drowning itself. Okay, candle holders. Just make sure your candle holder is fireproof. I've had candle holders that, whilst they had a metal sort of inlay, the actual candle holder was wooden. And so if you're using candles, particularly for spell work, and they're burning all the way down, again, you can end up with burned candle holders because that's happened to me too. So make sure they're made of heat-proof candle holders. Really make sure they're heat-proof and they can handle the high heat. Because if they're going to be burning all the way down, you're going to end up with a flame actually in the candle holder. And that's going to be quite hot. So they need to be able to handle that heat. And if they're metal candle holders, metal expands the heat. So whatever they're standing on might get a bit hot as well. So make sure that what they're standing on is able to handle heat too. I use a tile, a big ceramic tile for my Candle Magic, so that all the base and everything around it is ceramic. And so if the candles fall over or they get hot, it's not going to cause melting or fire or anything like that. Okay, I've seen some folks adding herbs and oils in the metal tin of a tea light, then adding the candle back on top of it. What's your take on the method of dressing? You could do it that way. That's it as a method of dressing, yes, if you're using tea lights. And you can carve really small into the top of the tea light as well and use a tea light that way. So, yes, you could do that. Again, sometimes the herbs and that will burn, and you've always got to be wary when you are using herbs or anything on a candle that they will also possibly ignite as well, particularly bay leaves or anything that's a little big. You could end up with them catching on fire too, depending on how the candle's burning. That's why you really need to be careful that you've got a really fireproof area around the candle as well, because anything that the candle is in or on or has on it can catch on fire. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the basics of candle magic. So I hope you enjoyed that. I teach candle magic in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy course, which is the 12-month course in Wicca and Witchcraft. There's 3 modules on magic in that course. The first one, which is module 5, is on candle magic because it is probably the most accessible magic that you can have. I know some people can't do candle magic because of where they live. They're not allowed to burn candles, which is a shame. So there's other types of magic you would need to use then. But for a lot of most people, candle magic is often a go-to magic. Don't think that candle magic, because it is, very popular and that it is a weak form of magic. It's not. It's as powerful as you make it, just as powerful as any other genre of magic out there. It's been used for a very, very long time, and that's for reasons, because it can be very powerful magic. So it's really up to you how powerful you want to make it. Don't let anybody tell you that because they're working with, certain spirits or doing, some other type of, ritual magic or something, that it's more powerful than candle magic. It isn't. It's just another form of magic. That's all it is. And it might be more powerful for them because they connect more with that other form of magic. But if you really connect to candle magic, it's as powerful as you want it to be. So I teach that in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. The Mystery Witch School 101 Academy is to present witchcraft as a way of life, as a way of connecting to yourself, to your true powerful self, to free yourself from all of the bondage of the world, essentially, because we've been told that we're not powerful beings. We've been told that we can't use magic, that we've had so much control put upon us by religion and by, people in power, that we've come to a point now with a lot of this energy that's happening astrologically, where we're starting to realize that we can take back our power, that we're here to create and we're here to be free. And magic can help us do that. And the way it can help us do that is by us learning how to connect to ourselves on a daily basis, connecting to the deities if you want to work with deities, connecting to magic, connecting to the elements, connecting to earth, and having that connection to who and what we really are, and having that discovery of who and what we really are. And so magic is a great way to be able to connect to nature, to connect to our magical selves, but having a daily practice and doing magic and developing our skills over a period of time, so this course is a 12-month course, gets you connected to who you are, and it's connecting to your self and spirit every day. It's building it into making your life something that is meaningful and spiritual and enjoyable, rather than just trying to get by on a day-to-day sort of feeling like there is no rhyme or reason to what's going on, or feeling like something's missing, that there's a missing piece and you just can't find what that piece is. That piece is your connection, really. It's like your connection to who you are and connection to your path. So the Mystery Witch School 101 course is designed to give you that ability to start connecting to your path, as well as practice magic, as well as do energy work, as well as work with lunar energies, work with deities, work with the Sabbats, all of those things. But it's to get you really connecting to yourself and spirit and nature, so that you can bring that joy and fulfillment into your life that being off a spiritual path can do. Like it can take you into the mundane world and into a sense of meaninglessness, whereas having a spiritual path can bring you back into touch with your higher self and what you came here to do with your life. So that's the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. And there's a link in the description field below this video for how you can find out more about that. And I'll put a link in the description, in the chat as well. If you do sign up for the free masterclass, the How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice, which is also in the description field below this video, I tell you a little bit about Mystery Witch School 101 at the end of that. So that might give you a little bit more of an idea of how it all works to watch that video if you haven't already. Okay, so there's other ways to work with me too. Some people like to work more one-on-one, so I do offer one-on-one mentoring for the craft as well. So whether that's help with spell crafting or just help with the path in general, you can work with me one-on-one. I also do tarot coaching, and I also do shadow work coaching as well, which is different from the mentoring. It's a deep dive into anything that you feel is actually stopping you, like the parts of yourself that are stopping you from being who you truly are and living the life you want. So the limiting beliefs, the traumas from the past, all of those things that are really stopping you from truly being able to break through that invisible ceiling of I can't, I'm not good enough, all of that, and being able to step more into who you are. So all of that information is available on my website, mysterywitchschool.com, and also in the description field below the video. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Awesome. Yep. So yeah, sign up for that masterclass because it's got a lot of good information there to help you get an idea of how to pace yourself along the way too. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful week. I will see you again next week, and we'll catch up then. So blessed be.